Dear friends, welcome. Today, a Sicilian specialty, roasted eggplant terrine. So how do we get this going? We start first and foremost with an eggplant. Cut the top off, then cut the eggplant in half. Once you cut it in half, it's very important that you score it. So this is how we do it. Going across this way and across this way, same with the other half. Now the reason why we score it is because the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to salt it. When you put the salt, I want it to be abundant. I want you to rub it right into it. This will make the water of the eggplant come out. Before you can cook the eggplant, I want you to put it on a towel and let it sit and drain for about 20 minutes. After that is done, I want you to take it here on top of your baking instrument, the vessel in this particular case, a beautiful sheet which I already have lined with parchment paper. We're gonna put it in the oven. We're gonna cook it until it's nice and soft. We've done the same thing with slices, which I have right here. These slices, I already have salted them. We let them drain for about 10-15 minutes. Then we wipe them off. We're gonna brush them with some olive oil. We're gonna put them in the oven. And when I come back, I'm gonna show you to make this wonderful dish, typical of my region, Sicily, full of flavor, full of taste, and you will say to yourself, how did he do it? But you already know how. Spicy, just right. An old Sicilian song. I used to sing it as a little boy. Why? This is a Sicilian specialty. So how do we make this terrine? Very simple. It takes absolutely nothing. Come with me. These are the eggplants that we have cooked. They've come out. Now they're perfectly cooked exactly to the consistency that we want. Using a spoon, we want to basically take the flesh of it out, just like this. And after they're cooked, they're going to come out exactly this way. This sucker is just fighting against me. Look at him, until the last breath. But I am not concerned. I'm going to push all the way through. And what you want to do is, using your spoon, just scoop it out, make sure that nothing is attached to the bottom of it, and you put it into a container like this. Why? This is very important. What we want to do at this point is to make sure that the eggplant drains. And as it drains, at the very bottom of it, you see some of the eggplant juices that have accumulated from all the other flesh that I added to before. What are we going to use this for? Two things. This one, now that it's drained completely, I'm going to put it into this bowl. The juices that are left behind, I'm going to do something else. I have some tomato sauce in here, to which I've added already some fried celery, a little bit of mint, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of chicken stock, and the water from the eggplant. This is going to maintain a flavor that will be consistent in the making of this dish, which is going to be absolutely delicious. Now, let's talk about how we're going to make the mix of all of this. Why don't I show you instead of just talking about it? The first thing that we're going to do is to bring with us this bowl in which we put the eggplant flesh that we roasted so well. The character of this dish comes from the flavor that the eggplant picks up. So we start first and foremost with our binding agent. The binding agent are the eggs. So we break the eggs and we mix them in just like this. To this, we add a little bit of the egg whites, a little bit at a time, just to give it a little bit of airiness to it. And then the real pay comes with the cheese. The cheese, in Sicily, we use pecorino. Pecorino siciliano, not romano. But it's simple pecorino, beautiful, spicy cheese. My wife doesn't like it so much, so when I make it for her, it's always parmigiano. But if you make it at home, the first time, try it with pecorino. So here we go with the pecorino into it. You want to fold all of this together real well. Be gentle, try not to break the egg whites. The importance of not breaking the egg whites, they're going to give lift to this terrine. They're going to really make it pop up. Do you remember before, when we got started at the beginning, I had two types of eggplant. One, which was the halves, which I scored, I salted, I roasted, and the other one were the slices. These slices we'll use to line the loaf pan in which we'll cook the terrine, but this is not finished yet. We still need to bring back some solidity to it, and that building, the solidity, is done with the breadcrumbs. I like to use Italian-style breadcrumbs. You can use anything you want, even panko, but I would prefer Italian-style. They got more flavor. So here we go with it. You want to make this nice and thick. So gently fold this in kindly as it is. Here we are. Ah, look how pretty it is. Now be careful with this. You don't want to be too forceful. You want to maintain it. As you do, you really see this mixing. Now, the way I know when I had it enough is by the amount of wetness. You want to try to get it as dry as possible. Why are the breadcrumbs so important? During the cooking of the terrine, These breadcrumbs will absorb all the juices that still are in the terrine that will come out. And at the same time will plump up. And as they plump up, they expand and they give to the terrine the nice solidity that we're looking for. This is more than what we need. It's perfect. Let me move everything else here aside. And let's get started now with the actual assembly of the terrine itself. How do we do that? First thing that we need to do is to line the loaf, as I mentioned to you before. This is a loaf that I have placed aside. Allow me to clean my surface. And these are the slices that we have placed in the oven. Now, they're cooked. They're perfectly cooked, nicely roasted. Look at the color that they picked up. Important that before we do anything, we rub the bottom of the terrine with butter, and then we put some breadcrumbs in that, and shaking it well, we make sure that we create a coating that completely does cover the terrine. Why? I keep saying the terrine, but what I'm meaning is the loaf. It's going to make it very easy for us later, once it cooks, to unmold it. If you don't do the simple step, as simple as it is, everything will stick to it. So this is something very important for you to do. Now, the way in which I like to do it is to have a little bit of it overhanging, and then I do the bottom first, just like this. There's not a special technique. You can pretty much go whichever way you want to. And those slices will fight you. They'll say, no, I don't want to. Just be gentle with them. Say to yourself, patience, my young man, patience. In the end, everything will work to your favor. So here we are with what we have. On the side, I'm going to prepare for myself some of the mixture that I have, which is made with the goat cheese. The goat cheese will be what I refer to as the middle liner. So as I take this mixture and I put it on the inside, the first thing that I want to do is pack it real nice and tight, you see? Then in the middle of the first layer, we start putting our goat cheese. The goat cheese is going to look beautiful on top of the fact that as you cut into it, it will have melted in just about every single part of the terrine, giving the additional flavor that we love. Then the additional mix that I have on top of it, just like this. And here you are. Here comes the part that we all love the most. There is this last slice, which is the slice that I put on top, and then you sear it from all sides. There's a certain amount of stickiness that's going to work in your favor, using your hand to press it down. This is one of those things where you do need to get your hands dirty. If you don't, you're going to have a problem. We're going to now put the terrine in the oven, and we're going to let it roast in the oven until it's completely cooked. Then we'll take it out, and once it's taken out, you got to actually let it rest until it's cool enough to handle. The terrine has now roasted. Well, actually, to tell you the truth, it has baked for 45 minutes at a very hot oven. Now we unmold it. Let's keep our fingers crossed. I hope that it does exactly what we want it to do. Here we go. And yes, yes, victory. It has happened. The next thing that you want to do now is to cut it in slices. Very important. A very, very, very sharp knife. So what we do with this, tentatively, I like it nice and thick. So here's one slice. Very delicate as you go all the way down to the end. Oh, look at this. Perfectly laid out. Here we go, one more. Ah, perfect, perfect. This is what I love. The goat cheese in the middle is completely melted. It's gone into the filling. The shape of this is beautiful. How do we serve it? Very, very simple. The sauce that we made is at the key of this dish. Very Sicilian in taste with all the flavors that we put in. The mint itself is right now peeking through. The fried celery is the beautiful part that every time you bite into it, you will taste a little bit. What I like to do is to cover the bottom of it with the sauce. And you can choose any plate that you want. Have something that has somewhat of a minimum amount of a rim in there. When you cook this at home for a large group of people, there is a small technique that you can use to avoid any problems, because when you cook for a large crowd, the last thing that you want to do is to cut the slices one at a time. So one of the ways in which you can handle this without a problem is to go ahead and cut the slices earlier in the day, then put them back on a baking sheet and bake them in the oven about 325 degrees, 10 to 15 minutes. They'll be nice and warm, and then using this instrument, we're going to take the terrine right over. And there you are. Sicilian-style terrine roasted eggplant. Not only it looks beautiful, but it tastes fantastic. And there it is.
Next, Nick shows us how to prepare pasta alla russa.
Pasta alla russa. This pasta got me out of more trouble with my wife you could possibly imagine. We have farfalle pasta that we're going to be using for this pasta, and now let's focus on how to make the sauce. We have a little bit of butter in the pan ready to go, and we want to start first and foremost with, I love to say first and foremost. Somebody wrote me once, said, Nick, why every time you start a recipe you go first and foremost? It's a habit that I have. I don't do it on purpose. I don't want to make anybody mad. I have the Stellinism, the way my wife refers to it. It says, what are these Stellinisms? Stellinism is words that I make up as I go along. First and foremost, it's one of them. Please forgive me, be patient with me. We add the shallots. I like to have it nicely, finely chopped. Together with the shallots, we're also going to add chopped garlic. This is going to be the base for our sauce. I'm going to make this today with smoked salmon. When you make it at home, if you don't like smoked salmon, this typical smoked salmon that we get here in the Pacific Northwest, we're so blessed with that. You can use gravlax, or you can even use lox. Lox is wonderful to do. But if you do have smoked salmon, it just brings the flavor a little bit all the way up to the top. So we just added the chopped garlic. We have the shallots right now braising wonderfully into this butter mixture. We've got about a medium-high heat. Here we go with our fish. Look how gorgeous it is. This is the season to get it just like that. I like to break it up with the back of the spoon so that it picks up all the flavors that we have in there. Once the fish is in there, I continue then with the other spices, and they're very basic. A little bit of salt. Sea salt is what I prefer, and a little bit of pepper. The aroma. I wish you could smell this incredible aroma that we're getting. Look at that. Every time I'm in trouble, I go to my wife and says, Nancy, what if I make pasta alla russa? She said, I'm still mad at you. But if you make pasta alla russa, I might consider otherwise. For you fellas out there, if you go to the doghouse quite often in your own home, this might actually get you out of that. Now that we cooked the smoked salmon together with the shallots and the garlic for just a few moments, what we're going to do next is to add the vodka. The vodka, be a little bit careful. When you add it, step back because it could flame right in front of you. Once you added the vodka, and the vodka has reduced and most of the alcohol has evaporated, the other flavors that we add are, clam juice is what I like to add because it maintains the flavor in the fish family. But if you have issues with clam, you can go with chicken stock. Don't put beef stock, it just would not marry. But chicken stock would be just fine. So here we go with the clam, a little bit of tomato sauce, and a little bit of cream. Cream is our friend just because it makes this pinkish in color. And in Italy, for the pink sauce, there is a name called pasta del cardinale, or else known as cardinal pasta. You bring this to a little boil. Once it reaches a boil, you reduce the heat back down to medium-low, and you let this cook until it gets the perfect sauce consistency. While this is taking place, we also want to add a little bit of peas. The green peas not only add a great color to it, but also an enormous amount of flavor. So let's bring this down to the perfect sauce consistency now. The sauce is where we want to have it. Now we add our pasta. I slightly undercook the pasta because I want the pasta to pick up the flavor of the sauce. I want the sauce to be completely absorbed into the pasta. Guarda ste farfalline, guarda che belle che sono. Here we go with that. Like this. You want to cook the pasta and the sauce together until most of the sauce will have been absorbed by the pasta. You want to do this for just a couple of moments. We have the heat on medium, medium-high. Let's let this cook into until the sauce is completely absorbed straight into the pasta. The pasta is perfectly glazed. The last thing that I'm going to do is the addition of cheese. Let's be frank with each other, even though my name is Nick. Cheese and fish in Italy are unacceptable. I see their point of view. I grew up that way. However, when I make it for myself, I love it. So if you're Italian and you live by the same rule, do with that. But if you're like me, a free man in a free country, you do what you like. And here we go with the cheese. Parmigiano, of course, will be the best in my opinion. So we have here one of, if you don't get Parmigiano, Grana Padano would also be another great cheese to add. The pasta is ready. As you can see, all of the sauce has been completely absorbed into the pasta. This is the color that I look for. Let's plate this pasta now. Let me turn this off so I do not overcook it. Here I have my nice little pasta bowl ready to go. And here we go with our pasta. This is usually what I serve to people when they come to my house. They go, Nick, it's too little, let me have more. I say, no, but this is enough, it's enough. No, pile it up high. I said, it's enough already. No, pile it up high. I have this friend of mine, her name is Nicole. She tells me all the time, when I come to your house, if you give me just a little pasta, I am not coming back anymore. We love her, so this is how we do it for her. I call this the Nicole plate. One last thing of decorating, a little bit of chives. Not because of the flavor, because you're hardly going to taste it, but just because they make a nice little bit of green and everything else in there. And signore e signori, here we are, pasta alla russa. Pasta with smoked salmon and vodka. And there you are. Sophia, how are you doing? Listen, I need your help. I'm making an upside down apple pie, a tarte tatin. I don't quite know what apple I should go for, and I see you got a great selection. What is the difference here?
Yeah, we've got a couple different ones. We've got the Honey Crisp here. This is a really classic sweet apple. It's really delicious. Got a little bit of tartness, but really on the sweet side.
In the background.
Yeah.
It really pops. And this?
And then this is a Sugar Crisp. It's very similar to a Honey Crisp. It's just a little more tart. It's actually a Honey Crisp mixed with a Gravenstein. So it has a little bit of the Gravenstein tartness, but more of the Honeycrisp flavor.
They are unique flavors. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make several different tarts, but I will use several apples. Let me have a pound of each, because that's what I'm going to do. Thank you so much.
Nick shows us how to prepare tarte tatin upside down apple pie.
Upside down apple tart, also known as tarte tatin. We start by melting some butter. To the butter, we add sugar and plenty of it. We want to make a nice little caramel. One of the things that I've learned when I started making this is that it's most helpful if you squeeze just a little bit of lemon in it. American butter apparently has less of a fat content than European butter, and this will allow for you to have a wonderful, wonderful caramel. Well, this turns into a caramel. We're going to move on and I'll show you what to do with the apple. So let's let this be by itself. I'm going to put it on medium-low. Let's take a look at the apples. I have already peeled the apple, and what I've done, I have cut it in half. Now, I'm going to use some of this in a half form and some of this in quarters. What I like to do using a melon baller, this is the name of this instrument. This is a particularly good one because it has little teeth on the outside that really do a fantastic job in grabbing the core. We go inside and we do core the apple. So this is what you want to do. This comes out. And I do with the big one on that side, and with the little one on this side. Careful, because these little suckers are unforgiving, if you know what I mean. Once you take them out, if you catch your finger with it, you will pay. You might ask yourself, how does he know all these things? Look at me in the face. It's happened to me before. I'm telling you, because I am so clumsy in the kitchen. This other one over here, instead, we're going to cut into quarters. And the only reason I got it into quarters is because I'm going to use it as spacers. When you're doing this at home and you're moving in great speed, you can basically do this instead of using the quarter, and it will make it a lot faster for you. When I make the prep for this at home, I make it sometime 2-3 pies at a time, just because I have a lot of people coming over. I have a kind of a remarkable family that joins me. I like to do it early in the day, but if you do it early in the day, you just put it into a bowl and you put it into the refrigerator, the apples will really turn dark and not that pretty to look at. It's not so much that it ruins the flavor, but in a certain way, why mess with it when you don't have to? So a technique that I have usually is I place them in acidulated water like this. It's nothing more than just water with I squeeze a full lemon, and what you will notice is that the apples do not turn dark. So this is very helpful. But before I use them, one of the things that I want to do is I want to make sure that the apples are nice and dry. So I lay down the towel, whatever work surface I'm using, and then I put the apples just to dry them, because it's going to be a lot of water in it. Another thing that's going to help you enormously is be aware of the vessel that you're going to use in which you're going to cook these apples. There are two ways of approaching this. One is the elegant way that I'll show you, which is an enormous amount of work. No, I'm kidding, it's not a lot of work. The one that I'm going to show you is prettier because I'm using the apple as a whole. And, well, instead of me talking about it, I want to just show you. Come on. This is what I'm going to do. While the caramel is forming, I place the apple. Oh, you see this one? This one needs a little cut. I noticed that right away, and I said to myself, you cannot go in there. And using this scary instrument, I take care of it. So I place it in here. And what I do, I put the big 4 pieces in here, And then the spaces in between, I put this half core pieces. Another big one right in here. Now trust me, they look as if they are too full right now, but they are not, because they're gonna lose a lot of their volume while they cook. And that's where a lot of people get alarmed. And one of the things that I tell people all the time is just let them cook slowly until this one softens up. So we're gonna cook this one, and you will see that in just a few moments this will be nicely and completely soft, and most of the juice from the apples will have gone straight into the caramel, will have mixed with the caramel, giving it the flavor that we want. And at that point, we'll be ready to put in the oven. But let's just get ready for that. The apples are cooked exactly to where we want to see them. You notice they have completely collapsed. They lost most of their water. The water has been incorporated into the caramel. They're given their own juice. And what you notice is that they shrunken down by volume. A lot of time people get worried. They say, these are too big pieces. How are they even going to make? Don't worry about it. This is exactly what you will get once you're done. Now follow me, because I want to show you how to proceed, take it to an end. What we have in here is puff pastry. What I'm about to show you is a trick that you will hold dear for the rest of your life. And what I've done, I've taken the puff pastry, I have taken it out. This was frozen originally, so I thawed it out, and then I've cut it into the shape that I wanted to do. I'm going to turn off the pan and the apples. Let's give it just a second. I'm going to place this in there. If you don't do this, and at home you take the whole sheet of puff pastry, then you go over it, it's going to be a mess. Not that you won't be able to do it, but it will be a mess. This little bit of preparation, just to have it ahead of time, is going to save you a ton of time. So with the puff pastry on hand, defrosted and ready, I take it, I place it right on the vessel as I wish to, and then I tuck it gently underneath, just like this. Don't worry about the little bit that be oozing underneath the side. In the oven, preheated at 400, I'm gonna lower it down to 375, and I'm gonna cook this for about 15-20 minutes. So here we go. This is ready. When you do this at home, remember you want to let it sit for no more than 3 or 4 minutes, because the longer you wait, the sugar and the butter will harden up again and they will not dislodge. So now we're going to turn it over. Also, be very aware when you cook this at home, take a look at the puff pastry. The puff pastry itself will give you a sense of when the tarte tatin is cooked. If you roll the puff pastry too thin, it will darken up even sooner. So be very alert to that. Now, here comes the part where a lot of people faint. Let's see if I do this one right. I put the plate right on top, then I say my prayers and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, e qua ci siamo. At this point, I am taken always by the enormous fear. What if I made a mistake? What if it doesn't work out? My guests are right here in front of me. They're looking at me in the face and say, oh my gosh, you're a famous chef. You never make a mistake. What if you do it now? Secretly, I know they're hoping. Then I lift my pan slowly. I say my prayers. And mamma mia, oggi è la mia giornata. Today is my day. A little bit of splatters on the side, nothing of a problem. Then you stand here with this and go, it's like this all the time. This is tarte tatin, upside down apple tart. And this is for you. And there you are. If there is anything I can leave you with, is that whenever you're in the kitchen, the recipes are nothing more than a guide. The most important ingredient, the most important tool that you can possibly have is first and foremost passion. If you have no passion, your food is going to look pretty, but it will taste like nothing. So my wish to you is, live from now on in the kitchen and in your life every day passionately, from my heart to your kitchen. Arrivederci e grazie. Neil, I need to ask your advice. Sure. When it comes to eggplant, I really don't know what is that I need to look for to know if it's fresh or not. Could you give me a few pointers on that?
Of course, yeah. Shopping for eggplant, there's 2 things to keep in mind. You're looking for freshness and ripeness.
Okay.
Freshness, you can look at it and look for 2 things. One is the color of the calyx, the top.
The top.
This little hat on the top should be green. If it's too old, it's going to be kind of brown, kind of curling, but picked fresh, it'll be green and vibrant.
Okay.
The next is the color and the texture of the skin. So the skin should be a nice deep purple color.
Just like this.
It should be smooth, not dented and scarred, which might mean it's been sitting around for a while or bumped around in a box for a few weeks. And the second thing is the ripeness. If you hold this and you give it a little bit of a squeeze,
Yeah.
it should feel tight to the touch,
It
very
does.
firm, and that's going to be ripe. Not soft.
Softness is not a good thing.
Softness is overripe.
I got you.
Yeah.
One thing with you, Neil, is you only have the best. Always a
Thank you.
pleasure.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much.